Now, we're told over and over again, we've got free markets. Why do liberals, progressives, populists, people who actually care about the American people keep complaining? Listen, buddy, just take it up with the free market, okay? Well, what's interesting is that it turns out that the top banks rigged the markets, and they've been fined over and over for it now. And the latest fine is a $2.3 billion fine from the European Union antitrust regulators, and it goes to Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, Citigroup, Societe Generale, JPMorgan, and RP Martin. Yes, that's an international collection of banks that literally got together and decided, that thing that they call Libor, which sets the interest rate for all of us, we're going to rig it. Now think about this. Do you know that Libor affects $300 trillion worth of assets and contracts? Now, that doesn't mean they pocket the $300 trillion, but that interest rate applies to all $300 trillion worth of contracts. So every time they set the rate, it affects at least half of us negatively. That rate is supposed to flow based on the free markets, but it ain't free. It's fixed by literally about 20 guys. Now, they are doing 7 criminal investigations. Is it to the CEOs of the companies? Of course not. Oh, did our company set the most important rate in the world? Oh, golly gee, I didn't know anything about that. Sure you didn't. And look, the EU has done a decent job here of going and getting the $2.3 billion fine, but they cap the fines at 10% of a company's global turnover. Why is there any cap at all? I mean, if these guys are robbing us blind on this enormous amount of money that is being played around with here, why is there any cap at all? Look, what it is whether it's the European Union or America, they're scared to death of the banks. Oh my God, what if we went after more than 10%? What if the bank was to become unstabilized? Well, look at Iceland. They nationalized the bank. Not forever, but they nationalized their banks when the banks were doing illegal activity just like this. And then eventually they put them back in private hands when they had straightened out the mess. But now, no, all over the world, they're too big to fail. So we just nick them a little bit. You think that they $2.3 billion in fines? You think they only made $2.3 billion out of the Libor rigging? If you do, you don't know anything about banking. This is a laughable fine after unbelievable transgressions. So now Joaquin Almunia, sorry for butchering the name, EU Competition Commissioner, says, what is shocking about the Libor and Euribor scandals is not only the manipulation of benchmarks, which is being tackled by financial regulators worldwide, but also the collusion between banks who are supposed to be competing with each other. You see any real competition here? So every time you hear Rush Limbaugh and Fox News and all those guys saying, "What? Listen, you just leave it up to the free market and they'll compete with one another and that's what will get you the best result." But they're not competing. They realize that if 20 of them get together and collude, they could screw the rest of us. And who protects them? Conservative commentators throughout the world who get paid by them, conservative politicians, and frankly, also Democratic politicians who protect them at the national level. Finally, Reuters says JPMorgan confirmed its 79.9 million euro penalty in the Libor case, but said it would defend itself in the Euribor case. Now, first, to be fair, Deutsche Bank got about 10 times the penalty. They were more guilty in this case than JPMorgan was, although JPMorgan was among the guilty parties there. Now, what I like in that quote is JPMorgan saying, Euribor, well, you don't have, maybe they're saying we're not guilty on it, maybe they're saying you don't have good enough evidence there and we got a team of lawyers who want to fight you. But on Libor, you're totally right. Guilty as charged. Now, meanwhile, the CEO of JPMorgan, Jamie Dimon, goes around constantly like, what are people complaining about? I don't know. I don't know why they don't like us bankers. Well, we're just competing in the free market. We should only get bigger. Why do they want to regulate us? Maybe it's because you rob us over and over and over again. And then you pay a simple little penalty and you go on your way. And by the way, this is one of at least half a dozen major cases against JPMorgan. There's the corruption in China that we've reported on recently. There's the Libor case. There's the original mortgage fraud from 2007, 2008. There's a $13 billion settlement coming in those arenas. And the list goes on and on. But every time you turn on TV in America, there's somebody like Maria Bartiromo, who used to be on CNBC, who's now going to Fox Business, crying like, oh, why are they going after Jamie Dimon and the poor bankers? It's because of whole-scale corruption like this, which they actually readily admit to because they think, what difference does it make? We're going to pay a small percentage, and the media, who's supposed to be the refs and the guardians of the government, are just going to let us get away with it, and the government is already in our back pocket. Unfortunately, all over the world, that's how our so-called democracy is working right now, or not working. wolf-pack.com. Go.